Welcome back to Freelance Dog Training's Puppy Training Part 2. In Part 1, we covered how to increase desired behaviors, and now we'll discuss decreasing undesired behaviors, which means we're getting rid of all of those nuisance puppy behaviors like pottying and mouthing. Be sure to watch Part 1 first before you watch Part 2 because that's how numbers work. And we always want to make sure that we're teaching them the rules and guidelines for navigating these environments that they inhabit through motivational techniques before implementing punitive techniques. That is just a general rule in dog training, so remember that. So disclaimer complete, let's begin. I avoid punishment as much as I can with puppies, but for some certain self-rewarding behaviors, they are warranted because self-rewarding just means by doing that act, they're inherently getting a reward that's better than something else that you're trying to offer them. But what we can do is if they do want something and they're performing an undesirable behavior to get it, what we can do is just not reward them for that. So we can completely ignore them to ensure that there's no reinforcement coming their way. This method is called extinction. So say they're jumping up on you, you give them no information. You don't look at them, you don't talk to them, because even looking at them and saying, hey, get off me, is providing them attention. And when they're jumping on you, they really just want attention, right? So completely stonewall them. When all four paws go back on the ground, then they get that attention. So really control access to attention and other reinforcements to make sure that that unwanted behavior isn't being reinforced. Check out my video on corrections and punishments. That is in the making right now, and hopefully when you watch this it is up. But we need to be benevolent about our corrections. They always need to be informational and never come from a place of emotion. We're doing them to teach the dog something or to teach them not to do something. First off, potty training. Put them on a schedule. Set a timer on your phone for every hour, then every 2 hours, then every 3 hours as they get older to take them outside and really highly reward them pottying outside. Throw a huge surprise party for them. Use their primary reward if you want to tell them that, like, oh my god, I'm so proud of you, you would potty in the grass. You can use puppy pads if necessary if you can't stick to that schedule, but make sure that you're gradually increasing that schedule week to week. If you stick with a good schedule, hopefully they just learn, yeah, he just wants me to go outside. But there are some puppies that think, hey, going outside is good, but I need to go right now, so I'm gonna do that. And then they disrespect your carpet. So as long as you've done your best to set them up for success of taking them out to potty on a really tight schedule, and they still decide to go potty inside your house, then we can implement a correction. No, don't go up there. Stop looking at me, Swan. Billy Madison reference. She's not actually a swan. She's a duck. And she keeps staring at me like I'm crazy because I'm talking to no one. I'm not crazy! Scary movie reference. Oh, hi. You too, huh? Jealous boy? Yes, you are. No, Allie, off. Another thing, be consistent. Where was I? Why am I saying what weird? Hot rod reference. Okay, back to dog training. To make sure that it is an informational correction, you have to make sure that it's timely. So if you start to notice any pre-eliminating behaviors like sniffing the ground or going in circles or even certain walks or prances or whatever, you can either run them outside right away, but again, if you've gone through having a tight schedule for your dog and they're still deciding to pee in the house, then it's probably time to teach them that it's not okay to pee in the house. So right when they squat, usually what I do is just make a loud noise to interrupt them and to startle them and to make that think that their behavior caused that random sound to happen. Then you give them basically a verbal scolding all the way out the door, and you can grab their collar and lead them that way to kind of make it even more uncomfortable of an experience. But right when you cross that threshold of the door, you completely change into a different person where you are highly animated. So go from, no, that was a bad boy or bad girl, don't do that, you just pottied on my rug. You can literally say whatever you want as long as it's in a tone that they find punitive. Ketchup tastes better if it's not refrigerated, but barbecue is better most of the time anyway. And then once you cross that threshold, immediate personality change. Oh, that's right, you've never had ketchup. Woo, we're outside, yeah, that might lead them to believe that their owner is a psychopath, but what it's really doing is giving very clear information saying inside bad, outside good, and most dog training involves just creating a clear line of communication anyway, and we want to do our best to be able to make clear rules and guidelines for another species, and this is one way that you can do it. To eliminate mouthing or biting too hard, you're going to set up training sessions where you just play with your dog with your hands, and whenever they bite down too hard, you're going to remove your hands and stop play using that extinction method. Once they calm down, you can gradually work back into play and increase the intensity of it. If they continue to go right back to mouthing you too hard, you're going to need to implement the proper correction to eliminate that behavior. Destruction is another issue with puppies. They find it mentally stimulating to dissect things, so they're just expressing part of their predatory biology. We can curb this behavior, though, by ensuring that they are mentally and physically stimulated with toys, play, and exercise so that they have an outlet for that energy. If you've done your best at providing that other stimulation, and you still find them destroying something, provide a timely correction, which is a loud noise to interrupt, followed by a verbal scolding, preferably right when they begin to engage with the item. Remove the item and replace it with something that they can chew on. This is called correction with direction. Also, this is a good opportunity to discuss training versus management. Providing that correction with direction was the training aspect. Management would involve managing their environment. So, if they get into the trash, buy a trash can lid. If they chew on furniture, spray bitter apple spray product on those surfaces. Teaching drop it and leave it are also useful for puppies that are exploratory with their mouths, but those are different videos for another time. So we've covered some common puppy nuisance behaviors. Any other issues that you might be having still, like excessive barking and jumping, are covered in my ethical punishment video. So cruise on over to that after this one if you're still looking for help with a specific issue, because that video discusses in depth how to properly gauge and apply punishment to eliminate self-rewarding and bad behavior through classical conditioning. But I cannot stress enough how important it is to focus on motivational tactics first with your puppy before introducing punishment, because it bases the foundation of your relationship in fun rather than conflict, creating a dog that is more likely to be eager to please rather than a conniving little... So after that critical 16 weeks, the dogs will go into new stages, and from there it's really important that you provide leadership and clear information to your dog, because at 16 weeks they're going to start learning hierarchies. So make sure that you're providing the right information for your dog and the right guidelines by making sure that you're reinforcing the right things and then eventually adding appropriate punishments to the incorrect behavior that you want to get rid of. But make sure that you are setting them up for success first. That's very important before you implement any types of corrections. So make sure that you are continuing to present yourself as a leader to your dog in their adolescent stage, because then they go on to their sexual maturity stage, which is 5 to 18 months typically. And this is typically the time that you would think about spaying or neutering, which I highly encourage you to do, because I have worked at shelters and spent a lot of time in them since the age of 11. I've met a lot of excellent dogs that didn't quite have a home yet. So I highly encourage you to adopt and spay and neuter, but consult with a vet on when is the appropriate time to do it. During this stage though, you might see a few changes of behavior of, like, of course, scent marking, but also a lot of roaming and exploratory behavior, and a little bit of decreased socialization with other dogs and people, and that's okay. That's a dog coming into their own temperaments. As long as we are not reinforcing any type of aggression or fear aggression, that's okay. But it's very important that you continue to provide leadership for your puppy, because next comes their social maturity stage, which is 18 months to 3 years. And it's really important to continue training your dog. Don't just start off with being a really good puppy parent and training your puppy constantly with socialization and other commands. You still need to go out and about and to continue to show them the world, because they can develop some pretty nasty behavioral issues. I'd say around 2/3 of my clients have dogs around 2 years old because they've developed a nasty behavioral problem, whether that's leash reactivity or fear aggression or separation anxiety. Those types of things Around 2 is when they start to pop up. That's kind of their preteen rebel stage. Small dogs, small problems. Big dogs, big problems, is what my mom says, but about kids. Small kids, small problems. Big kids, big problems. But it is important to continue with training throughout their lifespan. But it's really important and really critical that you start off in those first 16 weeks of their life being the best puppy parent you can be, and you started doing that by watching this video. But make sure that you put these things into practice. Show your dog the world around them and teach it that it's a safe, wonderful place, and that they are your partner in crime in your life and in their life. So thank you for watching, guys. I hope that you learned something useful, and I'm so glad that you got a puppy. I hope to meet it someday. Thanks, guys, and have fun training your dog. Sit down. Please don't. No, please no. Ugh, you're super sloppy right now. Ugh, what is that? So the last thing I'll leave you with is this concept of, think of your puppy as a baby human, but that is completely mobile, has super senses of scent and hearing, and everybody's speaking a foreign language to them. So it's up to us to be kind and patient leaders for our dogs, because they are going to give us so much more back in return. Aren't you? Isn't that right?